Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM's LCS team. And oh boy, do we have a lot to go over today. This will probably be the longest episode in a while because not only do we have to go through the games, we got to talk about some of the top 10s that have been coming out from the LCS. We got to talk about the Peter Zhang no longer, allegedly doing something. He did do something bad and what has happened to him. And then we'll give a little shout out to our boy Hoonie. Not all in that order. We'll be ending with the games. I want to know your guys' opinions real quick, by the way, to lead off the show. You know, what was your favorite Hoonie moment ever? It's tough for me, but I'm going to cheat and do the hollow. It's so iconic, and I don't know. I rewatched it again on the day that he retired, and I was like, oh my God. I remember watching this for the first time, and it was just so funny. And I know he's never really done it again, but having him on TSM, I think he exceeded my expectations. That's for sure. And I feel very honored to have been able to talk about him at all and write about him. So, yeah, best of luck to you, Huni, moving forward. And yeah, like I said, let me know in the comment section below what your favorite Huni moment was. If it's with TSM, actually one of my favorite moments was the recent one of the recent TSM legends for Huni when they were climbing that mountain. And Hooney's just sitting there dying, and he was like one of the people originally were like, yeah, like let's just go walking up, like we'll be fine. And then halfway up, he's like, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't know why, but I just thought that was really, really, really funny. I guess it just brightened my day on what had been a rough day that day. So yeah, very much gonna miss him. I went and checked the global contract database, by the way, and it still showed him as a coach. The way they did that announcement and everything was very much like he will be gone. And I know that like it's official that he is leaving, but I wonder what happened. Because I'm sure he is just as either upset or disappointed like with the whole Seoul being sent down thing. Maybe he just didn't think that coaching was his thing. I don't know how you would know after just a couple of weeks, but I guess sometimes you just know. And I'm really sad to see that being the case, to be honest with you. And part of what I really liked about the whole Seoul thing and the reason why I wanted him on the team so much was because of Huni being his primary player coach, specific player coach. And now that he's not, it's just disappointing. I don't know. I'm sad. I'm going to miss Huni. I really do wonder what he's going to do next, to be honest with you. I think he'd be a great streamer. He'd be probably one of the few that I'd actually check out on a semi-regular basis. I think he'd be pretty fun. I also have to think that there may be a caster desk, announcement coming relatively soon. I'm sure the LCS may have already reached out to him and were like, hey, you were a great host, co-host, whatever, analyst. And I think, there's a chance that maybe we'll see him, go there to that area because I think he would be really good at it. But we'll have to see. We will have to see, especially with Super Week coming up. Moving on, let's quickly talk about the top fives. I need to give me a second. I got to go find them because I kind of forgot to bring them up, even though I wanted to talk about them. LCS mid laners. Those are games. Again, I apologize. I thought I had supports. We got top laners and junglers still left. Junglers. And where's the top laners? Did they not? Wait, where is it? Where is it? Oh no. Here we go. Top laners. All right. So, why did the dive come up? I was not looking for the dive. Okay. Moving on. All right. So, let's just start with top laners. We have 2 TSM members, and I think they're relatively correctly placed. In case if you didn't know, real quick, we have Impact first, Someday second. Then we have our boy Hauntzer, then Dyrus, then Darshan, and then Balls. I want to say this, and I don't think TSM fans are going to like it. I think Darshan should be a little bit higher, just for all the work that he has done with the Players Association and everything. I know it's kind of a joke, but he's like one of the only people who take it seriously. And he's clearly somebody who's going to stick around and try to make the LCS better. So I get the whole thing with Balls coming in and being great, but I think Darshan should have at least gotten 5th by himself. Moving on, I think the difference between Hauntzer and Dyrus for me is really interesting, because I do feel like they were similar in their weak side play style, but I think, when given the chance to carry, they were both able to do it. I loved both of these players. You guys know that Dyrus is the whole reason why I am on this podcast, even like why I am a TSM fan, and seeing him get the respect that he deserved is very satisfying to me, because I just really enjoyed, the way that Dyrus played the game. I love how passionate he was. That interview that he gives, talking about how they're the best, and he was willing to always show his emotion, and I just think, they put it really well here, and I think Emily, Emily wrote this, for me personally, that was Dyrus's retirement for the team in terms of, a big point in TSM's history. It was the end of an era, and I can't disagree with that. Like, he really was like he bridged those Reggie years. Like, he was a constant in the top lane, and I want to go back actually and look really quickly here. I want to remember exactly how long he was on the team. So he was on the team for 3 years. So from 2012 to 2015. Oh, he's actually only a couple months older than me. There you go. But yeah, his desire to be great, and him wanting to, I think, be this, I don't know, this staple for TSM was just so big to me. And when he was with this team, they found a lot of success, obviously, but it was just so, I think, impactful for a lot of us, even who watched in the early days. And while he didn't find, I think, the success that he was wanting to, maybe internationally, I do think that he kind of gave us what we've realistically had in the top lane. And we'll move on to Hauntzer here in a minute, but to go from, let me get this up here. To go from Dyrus, who did play, 2 years with Bjerg, his first 2 years, which is awesome. Straight into Hauntzer, who then went into Broken Blade, which was, I loved those years, into Huni. We have had since the LCS has existed, we have had 4 great top laners. Like, top lane has always been a calling card for TSM, regardless of if people want to talk about it or not. Like, it has been an important role for TSM. Maybe not like the important role, but there has always been a great, not just good, great solo laner alongside whoever is playing mid. TSM has always had the ability to play through top lane. And to me, it's just, with Huni retiring and looking back on this, this best of list, like, Dyrus was the beginning of that. And seeing him get that respect, I think, is really cool. Moving on to Hauntzer. Man, when I really became interested, because again, I liked Dyrus, he got me into TSM, but when I really got into TSM, like League of Legends team, right when I was really watching competitive, dude, it was Hauntzer. Him wearing that headband was just so cool. I got to go to my first ever event at, oh gosh, what year was that? Going to it. Sorry guys, give me another second here. Where is this? Why is this taking so long to show? Shoot. Okay, why don't we do this? I guess this will show it like that. Okay. I want to say it was the 2017 summer playoffs, right? Where were we at in the 2017 summer playoffs? Where did they play? I'm so sorry, guys. I thought I really thought I'd remember exactly when this was, but let me see. Maybe this is it. No, that's not it. I want to say that this was the Boston one, because I believe this was my first event that I was able to go to, actually. Yeah, I want to say this was it. And I just remember walking into the press room afterwards, and I got I've never been so stupid in my life. I held up my phone the entire press conference. The video was completely unusable because my arms were shaking, because I had to hold it up for 45 minutes. It was fine, first while, but then it was just holy crap, this is tough. And Hauntzer was just dominant. When he wanted to turn it on, when he really was I don't even know if it'd be arguable, when he was the best top laner in the LCS for that 3-year span with TSM, it was just I don't know. I mean, he was just amazing. He could help match, all the attention that Bjergsen would get. And I think that's crazy important when we look at it. Let's look at this 2017 year. My lord, this guy had a 4.42 KDA in the top lane. And sure, he would die, 2 or 3 times. He could cut out here or there or whatever. But, I mean, this man is out here playing Nautilus Maokai top lane in 2017 and just absolutely rolling people. I forgot Nautilus was a top laner for a little while there, honestly. But, I remember his Gnar plays, 5-0 on Gnar during the summer split. Actually 7-0 if you count the playoffs, which is crazy. I remember him bringing out the Cho'Gath. This guy was the quintessential top laner, and I just loved it. I loved it, and I don't know why, but there's always been a spot in my heart for Hauntzer and Dyrus specifically. Well, I always loved the 2016-2017 TSM team, and I've always, as you guys know, loved Bjergsen, loved Doublelift, which I'm going to be real interested to see the AD carry rankings when they come out. I just wanted to give at least a little bit of a shout out to how great Hauntzer and Dyrus were for this team, and why it is so impactful that Huni is leaving, and kind of also maybe my way back brain part, subconsciously wanting Soul to be in the top lane, because I just know Solo's not going to be there for long, and I think the unsung position. I should write a piece about this. I think I might do a piece about this, but like the unsung position for TSM, a place of stability at all times. Like sure, like Broken Blade and Huni were a little more volatile here and there, and like Dyrus and Hauntzer would have to play weak side and would get bullied a lot. But the amount of pressure that top lane has always taken off of TSM is so important, and everywhere else around the map. It's been that position that we've always thought about, like we haven't really needed to think about. It's just they're top 3 almost every year in their role, at least top 5. And sure, Huni at this time period was probably not at his peak like the other 3 were, and even Broken Blade wasn't nearly at his peak. He was at the beginning, which is it's interesting because like Dyrus and Hauntzer were both at their peaks when we had them. Broken Blade was at the beginning of his career. Huni was obviously at the end of his career, but I just top lane is so important for this team and for this success. I think of most LCS teams, regardless of how boring you think it is. And we're going to have to see really what they do in this offseason with it, because I think that's going to be a pretty big determining factor as to how successful we will be next year. So, yeah, I wanted to give them a shout out. Continuing on here, LCS Supports. I'll go from the top to bottom again real quickly here. There is one TSM guy. We have Core JJ, Aframu. I personally think Aframu should have been top. I understand there's a nice argument between the two, but what Aframu has done for so many years, he was the first support in the LCS, I believe, ever to have an MVP. He is still really good at 30 years old. Sure, you could coin flip him for me, but I'm gonna put Aframu there. I still think Aframu is probably one of the best players ever in LCS history, and if he's not in the top 10, I'm gonna be a little irked personally. Vulcan, I think being there is pretty fair. I know it's a little bit more recency, but like, dude, this guy is nuts. He has been nuts since the day he came up. We have our boy Biofrost, Biodaddy, here at 4, and then we have Lemonation at 5. I personally am okay with Lemonation. Lemonation was like one of the first supports that I really enjoyed, so I felt like he was just so freaking cerebral. He was like that first really true cerebral support that we had. Maybe his mechanics weren't as tight, but he basically coached the team and freaking played, which is crazy back then. I really wish that somebody would give him a chance as a coach, or if he wanted to be a coach, like that would be cool. Moving on to ours is Biofrost. I love this man so much. Both tenures that he had with TSM, he was winning championships with us. He, came out of nowhere and just, I don't know. He's just such a heartwarming guy. Like his very calm demeanor, his personality. I just always loved this man. I hated him on Tom Kench. I was happy with him playing literally anything else, but Tom Kench always just, I don't know, gave me anxiety when they would pick it. I know it was very prominent, but he struggled with it. It felt like, but he is just, it's sad to see like what's going on with Dignitas. I'm glad that he's getting a chance to play. I wish that another team would pick him up, like a better team or one that actually cares about what they're doing, because I still think he has some left in him, and he's just a very vibrant, good personality. I would love for TSM to pick him up as like a coach or something one day, or an analyst, or I don't know, some sort of position, because I think he is just so freaking smart, and I think he gets the brand, and I think he gets the players and everything, and I think he's always been that level-headed, very smart player that and I'm glad to see he is also getting his just desserts, his due by being in the top 5, because he really was just, his time on TSM, I mean, he was just insane at both times, and I just have a lot of love for him. So glad to see him getting there too. We're saving mid laners for last. Junglers, we have, I believe it's only two former TSM junglers. So there's X Smithy, obviously, Blabber, obviously. Svenskeren, I definitely think deserved top 5. Anywhere after top 2, I think would have been fine with me. Meteos and Santorin. So obviously, Svenskeren and Santorin have done most of their work after TSM. But, it's always been the position that we have struggled with most, which is why I've always wanted Spica to stay. I really do hope that he does end up staying. I think he is again, a position of stability that we've just not had for a while. So I really do hope he stays. But good for Svenskeren and good for Santorin. Both of them, I think, reviving themselves after the heinous amounts of things that TSM fans would say to them, rightly critical, but not like over the top like TSM fans were, and not patient with them. These guys were great, very good, and I do believe Blabber will eventually, as much as our current coach for TSM Academy, Smithy, so I guess he technically counts as a TSM member now. Well, obviously he counts as a TSM member, but I meant like from his playing days. He didn't play on the team, but I do think that he, I think Blabber is eventually going to overtake him. I think Blabber might be the best player in LCS history eventually, which is, I know, blasphemous to say, but on the path that he's going on, how young he still is, how many years he has ahead of him, I would imagine at least 5. I think he's got at least another couple championships in him and maybe a Worlds run somewhere in there too. I don't even think he's at his peak yet. So we'll have to see on that one. Mid laners real quickly here. There's a couple surprises actually. The fact that mid lane was this weak is good and bad for how much we love Bjergsen. But Bjergsen at the top, Jensen 2, High 3, meh, Pobelter 4, meh, and Power of Evil 5, meh. I'm cool with Jensen and Bjergi. Very happy with that. I think Jojo Pune will quickly, especially if they win another championship and they do well at Worlds, I think you could already put I personally believe that you could already put Jojo Pune over at least Power of Evil in that case, in my opinion. I guess I'll just start there. Power of Evil, obviously, with us was fine. He's the one-year wonder, the truest of mercenaries, as much as we like to say Solo is. He would probably stay on a team. Power of Evil seemingly, likes to, switch from team to team and stuff, and those FlyQuest days were pretty awesome. So I'm happy for him that he made it. Pobelter, I never felt Pobelter was best 1 or 2 even most of the time in his role. That's not always his fault, but he was a standard, I think, strong but not overly amazing mid laner. High, I don't remember as well. I know that he was really important to the LCS, and I remember him, a pretty decent amount, but by the time he had retired, that's when I was really first starting to dive into League. So this one was okay with me. Jensen makes sense. Like, regardless of how much you hate or love him, like, he's always been there. He's been very, very good since he has come to NA. He has been pretty dominant at times too, even without being flashy necessarily. Then lastly, our boy Bjergsen. If they had done anything else, like even just hinted at anybody else, like, this has to be one of the only unanimous decisions to me. Bjergsen is, and it's going to be hard when they pick Doublelift over Bjergsen for best player in NA all time. I will understand why. I don't know that there's been a more influential player than Bjergsen, but I do think, Doublelift having more championships. A few of TSM's championships came with Doublelift on the team, obviously, with, Bjergsen being there. Those two are going to be 1-2. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. Anything after that's going to be really interesting. I'm sure Wild Turtle will be on the AD Carry one. We'll talk about those when they come out. I believe the AD Carry one will probably come out either later this week or next week. And then we'll see about the the top 10 all-time LCS players. That one's going to be really fun, and I'm very excited to talk about that because I have to imagine TSM will have at least 2 or 3 like just mostly TSM known players. Obviously, Double Lift I think will be on there as well. You could maybe see Sven Skaren sneak in at the bottom there. I doubt it, but maybe. I'll have to do my own at some point. But yeah, I wanted to take some time to talk about these because, I mean, we're celebrating the 10 years of the LCS, and I love the LCS. You guys love the LCS. And, you know, I'm really happy that pretty much the entire 2016, 2017 TSM team, actually all of them, all of them are in the top 5 all time. That team was ridiculous. They choked. If they had been a little bit older, I think those teams... I think that team honestly does just so much better, but maybe that's a bit of a hot take, but I don't know. That isn't this show. We're not a hot take show. Now we're going to sandwich all this fun stuff because we'll talk about the games afterwards too with the Peter Zhang stuff because I know some of you wanted me to talk about this. I was going to slightly talk about it, but you guys wanted me to, so I'm gonna read a decent bit of this with you guys. I know what happened. I haven't dove into the details yet, but I have generally a good idea of it. So Peter Zhang is permanently banned from anything with Riot. And they said for alarming and unethical behavior towards current and former TSM players and staff. He violated LCS rules, LCS eligibility, and release agreements. By misleading and failing to fully compensate a former TSM player of the sale of a player's car and by soliciting loans from TSM players and staff. Like, dude, have you ever heard of a bank loan? Like, just go do that. You know, if you really need a loan that badly, don't ask your players. Ugh, crazy. You know, the rule set, section 14.2.10 of the rule set prohibits behavior that violates the standards integrity set by the LCS. Moreover, Section 2 of the eligibility and release agreement mandates that LCS players and coaches agree to abide by standards of good conduct, fair play, and good sportsmanship. The LCS may take aggravating circumstances into account in regards to the severity of any issue penalty. You know, it's so sad, too, because he was head of player development for 3 years. And most of the time, like, I never heard anything bad. I heard most people really liked him. And then apparently between December of this year and February, all of a sudden, you know, he diverted $250,000 in salary payments from 2 players. Crazy amounts, by the way. That is a pretty significant amount of money. I know one of them being Sword Art, but even still, like, good lord, that's a lot. Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But the third party was an entity in China. The entity sourced multiple bank accounts from the players in order to deposit salaries. So obviously something sketchy is going on there. Peter Zhang provided the entity with accounts supposedly on behalf of the players. However, the accounts provided were overwhelmingly affiliated with Peter Zhang. As a result, the majority of the players' salaries were diverted to accounts owned by Peter Zhang. In addition, evidence suggests that during his employment with TSM, Peter Zhang shared non-public information regarding TSM's recruiting decisions, potentially in exchange for personal benefit. Additionally, in October 2021, Peter Zhang agreed to sell the car of a former TSM player. Sword Art trusted him to sell something for him and to send the money to him. The evidence on file indicates that Peter Zhang misled the player at various points, informing the player that he could not sell the car. And then in March 2022, Peter Zhang told the player that he should assume that Peter Zhang bought the car from the player for $80,000. Peter Zhang repaid $35,000 to the player, and $45,000 is still owed to the player that has not been yet repaid. Probably never getting that money back. Between January and March, he solicited a total of 8 TSM players, over which he had managerial authority, and staff members to lend him approximately $15,000 each. TSM became aware of Peter Zhang's solicitation on March 18th and took immediate action to reverse pending wire transfers, preventing Peter Zhang from receiving at least $20,000 more in loans. To date, approximately $4,500 remains unpaid to the players who loaned Peter Zhang money. During the course of the investigation, Riot investigators TSM, let me see here. They interviewed 12 witnesses, communications between involved TSM members and Peter Zhang, bank records, and then they invited Peter Zhang to submit a statement of the above allegations. He submitted a statement but failed to provide any compelling evidence refuting the accuracy of the findings of the report submitted by TSM's retained third party. All right, so there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo there. Basically, Peter Zhang started soliciting money from players, diverting money from players' accounts to his own bank accounts, and didn't sell a car. So there have been rumors out there. I'm not going to push them forward in terms of, like, I haven't heard anything, like, in anything for sure. This does sound like a gambling addiction to me type of thing. Because he went from, beloved, like, most players really enjoyed him. Like, I think Spica even credited Peter with a lot of his development as a player, to having a 6-month span where he just solicited a ton of money. I'm guessing he placed bets that we will not know about, but that probably also caused a problem, because, the whole integrity of placing bets on while you're on a team and what's happening. That stuff's not okay. Even the NFL has had big problems with somebody spending even as little apparently as $1,000. So this is significant money, and it's just crazy to me that the car one is the craziest part to me, just in the sense that like how did he think that was going to go? I'm just going to take your money. I promise to give it back to you. Like, oh, I'm buying the car now for $80,000. I don't know, just really sketchy there. And then diverting the salaries of these players to him. Like, now, maybe, and I doubt this, but maybe he told them, that he would get them on TSM for their salaries, and they would just pay him. If the players agreed with that, then that's kind of scary and sad. But what is also sad is just the fact that all of a sudden he felt like he could do this. Like, who convinced him that this was a good idea? That nobody would find out? Like, TSM pay these salaries. I mean, they found out about it in 2 months with a brand new group of people running the whole thing. And I almost wonder if, like, the change in management and stuff was how he thought he could get away with it. Because they were giving him the power and something. I don't know. That's crazy to me. And then, not only after he's diverting player salaries, after he hasn't sold the car that he was supposed to, and keeping some of the money, Peter then starts asking 8 TSM players and staff members to lend him $15K. Bro, what are you doing? Again, that has to be some sort of gambling addiction. I know he claimed it was for his grandmother. Dude, there are loans. Like, you getting money from a player, sure, you're not going to maybe have to pay interest on it, but you got to pay it back regardless, or you're going to lose your job that you could have been keeping to help pay over time of a bank loan. Like, come on, man. Like, damn, I was so in the mindset of, like, he's been here for so long now. All these younger players have come up and said that he's helped them so much. And he goes out and he does this shit. Like, absolutely mind-boggling, bonkers, baloney BS to me. Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but he is so lucky that they can't, like, extradite him or something like that and put him in jail, because he fled the moment that they found out, which is just crazy to me. Oh, man. I just am so disappointed in this one. I really felt like he was a big part of this team's future. And now apparently there's just no chance. None. I mean, he's gone forever. This will be the last time we'll probably ever hear of him. And, I do wonder what he's going to do. I mean, coaching has been his life. And now it would seem, I don't know. It's just, I'm sure that this partially had to do with these, poor Kaiduo and Shenyi, I'm sure, were involved in this somehow or another, some way or another. And I know Yurasan was. So, I mean, I'm glad that things are changing. And these are some of the problems that happen that cause teams and organizations to have down periods. And that's why I'm not as worried as some other people about what is going on here with TSM overall. It's because there are a lot of outside influences, a lot of outside factors. I'm hearing a rumor of something good on the horizon. I don't know what it is. People, I've told you guys in the Talking TSM Discord, which you guys should go to, by the way, if you're not in the Talking TSM Discord, because when I get juicy stuff, I generally will let you guys know about it, even before I put it on Twitter. So, I'm very sad about this situation, but I hear there are good things coming in the future for us as TSM fans. I hope that they are right, because otherwise it's going to be a really, really, really long rebuild period for this entire organization. So, but we will see. Moving on. We have the Super Week, believe it or not. Like, I know we've gone through a bunch of crap already. We're over a half hour into the show, but guess what? We still get to talk about these situations, the players, the teams, all of the goodness. Now, we currently hold the 7th spot. There is a world where we can get the 6th seed. Technically, there would be a world where we could get the 5th seed as well, but that one feels, pretty unlikely. But we'll see. I mean, here's the deal. Both of the teams that are above us, 2 of the teams that we play this weekend are above us. We would need FlyQuest to go 1 and 2, and we would need Cloud9 to go 0 and 3 on the weekend, while we go 3 and 0, for us to play Cloud9 in a tiebreaker. And we could somehow finish 5th. I don't really see that as likely, even for the FlyQuest games. Like, they're 7 and 8. They realistically only need a win over us to guarantee a top 6 spot. They could go 8 and 10, meaning they finish 1 and 2, and they'd still have to beat us. The last game, we are the last game of the weekend, by the way, and play FlyQuest in what could be a very, very meaningful game. I doubt it, but if for some reason we're 2 and 0 at that point, and FlyQuest somehow lost to Immortals, there's a world where we're playing for a top 6 spot, which is, again, great. I'm glad that they had the foresight to find out that apparently Seoul really was holding the team back this much. I did not really recognize it, but that's also why I'm not a coach, guys. I'm just a pundit here talking head. It's just crazy to me. It truly is kind of baffling to me how this is all going down. But regardless, anyways, so yeah, this weekend we have a tough weekend. We go against CLG, Cloud9, and FlyQuest. 3 teams that are in that 4 stack of not the top tier, but right there-ish. And it's starting to even look more like it's, EG Hunter Thieves in one quadrant, CLG, TL in one, and then Cloud9 and FlyQuest in another. And then I think there's us, and then I think the other 3 teams. I would say maybe us and Immortals, but I don't know. We're gonna get to see. So let's start off here against CLG. Now, look, CLG they are a very hot and cold team. They're extremely streaky. They are 5 and 0 right now. They also had that great start at the beginning of the split. have had a bit of problems in the middle splits. Once people have kind of gotten used to the patches and gotten used to what they're doing. I do believe that they are very bannable. And what I mean by that is I do think that there are picks that are certainly working for them that we can look at. So, obviously the first one here for me is Palafox's Azir. I say, get that shit out of here. I don't want to see that. I think that could be very problematic for us. I believe, what is this one? Let me make sure. I believe, weirdly enough, we may want to ban the Seraphine as well. I just think that she is pretty strong still, and they're one of the few teams that are willing to play her to the point of where she is, again, a problem. And I also wouldn't mind a Poppy ban because Contracts has been pretty good at getting in on stuff. And if they don't pick first time around, I also wouldn't mind something like, I don't know, maybe a Wukong ban or us taking the Wukong away from them. They have looked very strong on it. Now, that's not to say that this team can't play a lot. Banning those things are certainly going to help. But I think Luger has shown the ability. You probably want to try to ban Yuumi if you can because that Twitch Yuumi combination is something that they've been playing, and just Twitch in general. It looks pretty good for them. I think Twitch is really, really, really strong right now, actually, just overall. I don't think he's being used nearly enough by most of these teams. But yeah, I mean, excuse me, I personally would focus on the mid-jungle duo. I think where Contracts and Poom have played well, so have the rest of the team. Not Poom. Palafox. Sorry, Contracts and Palafox. And I think that those two have been kind of the key to their recent success. I don't care as much about Dokla. I think Solo will be able to kind of negate him. I still think Spica's better than Contracts, and I think Palafox right now is definitely better than Maple, but I think you can even that part of it out. The bot lane is going to be a problem. I do believe Luger and Poom as a duo are better. I still think Chime might be better than Poom, honestly. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take, but I could see it. I think if TSM are to win this game, I think you really want to make sure that Spica has the strongest pick that he feels comfortable on. I actually wouldn't dislike something like an Olaf here where he can just kind of control early fights and everything, or maybe even a Trundle here. He has seemingly been very reluctant to want to play it. Wukong, something in that line of thought. I would prefer not the Viego, but they'd need, I think, a bit of a stronger mid laner. Like I would like an Arya or a Sylas with that. But, I really think that this game is going to come down to Maple. I've talked about it on here. I've said it on Hot Takes too. I don't know that I believe that Maple is all that good. I think he can be, but he has really not played very well in the last few weeks. And I was listening to the dive while cutting the grass, and for some reason they haven't released one. It seems like for this week. Maybe I just missed it, but I listened to the one for week 6 heading into week 7, and they were very much still like on this. Hey, yeah, Maple and Spica are a great duo. Like, here's my opinion on it. I think that Spica has been the much better part of that duo. I think he has been almost the carrying part of that duo. And I think, with Maple and Solo, while neither of them are bad, neither of them are great either. And Maple can be, but, he has got to start taking some risks. He's got to start roaming around. He's got to start trying to make plays on the map, I think, a little bit more. Because right now, he just feels like a similar version of what we had with Power of Evil last year, which is fine, but in this new LCS world where players are roaming around the map, especially mid laners, like he's got to be more involved, in my opinion. And, I let me check Oracle's elixir here real quick because I believe his kill participation, especially lately, has been pretty bad. Where is this? Okay, Maple's overall has been 69%. Nice. But I really wonder on the last 2 patches what that has looked like.
Yeah, it's down to like 65%. I think even what did it look like last week? Actually, it was really high last week. It was 75%, which is just kind of hard for me to believe. But I guess we're just not really like a high kill team. So maybe I'm just blind. Maybe I'm just missing something. But there's just something in my gut, in my loins, that's just telling me that he's been playing pretty average lately. And when I watch it, I still feel that way. Like he and Solo are able to stabilize the lanes, and I think that is important. But I do think you need one of them to start popping off. And I think for this game against CLG, if you shut down Palafox, I think you have a really good chance of winning. And I kind of hope that TSM do that, because Dokla's going to probably try to go like super ham into Solo. I think Solo can kind of just, rebuff that, just kind of push it back and not really worry about it. And I think the bot lane is going to be important as well. And I think having good mid lane prio will allow you to kind of extend that into the bot lane without having to put a lot of pressure down there. I am going to pick us to lose this game. I do think it's going to be really close, though. I think a lot closer than people would imagine, just because as long as we don't get draft canyoned, whatever you want to use, getting beat in draft in a pretty significant way here, which we have been prone to do, while CLG have been really good at drafting this year. I do believe we have a chance in this game. Like, I would be close to... Excuse me, sorry. I've been pushing that, staving off that sneeze for a while. I would be willing to call this close to a coin flip game. Like, I would say it's like a 55% chance that CLG win this, and it's just because of the way that, again, TSM have stabilized both of their solo lanes. Neither of them are doing great. We're going to have to win some team fights in later game and late in the game to win, but I think this game will be a lot closer than people think. And so I really hope that we are able to show that, and I hope that a win here would be pretty significant, by the way, because Cloud9 play Immortals and FlyQuest plays 100 Thieves. I think Cloud9 probably win that game against Immortals, but Immortals have been playing a lot better, and Cloud9's been struggling a little bit in the last couple games. So I think they'll be fine, Cloud9 overall. Like, that's why I'm not too worried about them. But FlyQuest playing 100 Thieves, like 100 Thieves want that 1 seed. They want it real bad. They currently have it, and I don't think they're going to want to let it go. Evil Geniuses will be playing the game right before them against a pretty, struggling to figure out what they want to do Golden Guardians team. I mean, they just let go of their general manager as well. So, like, FlyQuest losing there, and if TSM can find a way to win that CLG game, we are within 1 game of FlyQuest heading into Game 2, which would be, again, pretty big, to be honest with you. So that CLG game is going to be important. Then we head into the Cloud9 game. As I was just saying, with the Immortals game, they are very beatable. It comes down to, a lot of the time, it feels like their drafts and stuff are weird. Like, I don't think we're going to get as lucky as teams did last weekend against them, where they're, like, I know that it's maybe bad to say that against a team like CLG who played really well, but, like, Lucian, Nami is okay, but I think you want to have a more experienced support to really make that pick work. Like, these picks that C9 did were a lot less team fight than CLG. Like, I really like CLG's comp here. Huge team fight in the Yone, the Wukong, Seraphine, Karma. The Seraphine Karma keeping the Jace alive, the Yone alive, the Wukong alive. That's a lot of dive, a lot of damage that, like, what is Cloud9 going to do? They'll hit. Sure, they can hit a wave with the Nami, but, I guess after that you could maybe use a Zir ult, but, like, it just feels like the team fight is a lot stronger on CLG's side, especially, and then, like, Dokla as Jace can very easily match the Fiora in the side lane, at least, just clearing waves and keeping her at bay. So, and by the time Lucian gets into range, like, he's going to be getting jumped on by Palafox and Dokla there. Like, it felt like C9 didn't play a good draft there, and then you go into the 100 Thieves game, and they pull out the Neela, which is fine, I guess, but, like, the Neela Sona felt like they were kind of limit testing. Like, they were kind of just figuring things out with that bot lane, and it was pretty detrimental. Blabber's Wukong, like he had one of those crabber games again. Listen, like when we go by position, like I'm taking Fudge over Solo. I still think Blabber and Spica are about equal. I'd probably give the push a little bit to Blabber. I know he still can int, but so can Spica. I definitely give it to Jensen over Maple, even though I think they're about the same in terms of their play style, but I still think Jensen's been playing better. Definitely Berserker over Instinct, and actually maybe Chime over or over Sven. You could maybe call that one a toss-up just because Chime has been playing well, but I think it's going to take TSM really focusing on Spica and really not allowing Fudge to get ahead on Solo like he did in the last game. The last time we played them, it was just that Soul got dominated by Solo, and there wasn't a whole lot that we could do about it. So I want to pick a win here again. Like I think we're playing teams that we can absolutely play with, but I just think that there's something missing. And I just think Berserker is a lot better than Instinct, and unless if Spica can really take over this game, it's hard for me to pick us here. I want to. I really, really want to. Do not get me wrong. Like it's something that I would love to do, but I just don't think that we're as good as they are right now. And I think anybody who would argue differently would be really sucking on that copium or that hopium, because when I listen to people talk about this team and it's like, oh, well, they were 8-2 or whatever without, their starting team. And then they lost 100 Thieves, which is fine. And then losing CLG was meh. They're still a top team in my mind. Their record doesn't show that, but again, that to me is just because of the King Destiny bot lane that they played at the beginning of the year, of the season split, whatever. So I still see them as a pretty formidable team. 8-4 is nothing to scoff at. That's literally one game away from, I believe, being close to or tied with 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses, and that would put them at least similar to or above CLG or Team Liquid anyway. So I really do think that they're just a bit above us still. And I think of all the games this weekend, I think this one will not be very close. So take that as you will. So we lose there, and then we lose our chance to be top 5. I do think FlyQuest beat Immortals here, which puts them at 1-1. Again, if we win that CLG game and we're 1-1, then we're heading into. It would make them because they'd be 8. Well, we would need FlyQuest to lose here. If FlyQuest win against Immortals, then our top 6 bid is over. So I guess go Immortals. Yeah, but either way, we would head into Sunday's game against FlyQuest. I think a potential playoff matchup, by the way, for us. I don't know that I see FlyQuest, sadly, right now as much as high as I was on them, and I do think that they're a pretty good team. They've kind of shown some cracks in the armor, some weaknesses that I think, Philip is good, but he's a little bit risky, and I think he's almost playing with a little too much bravado, a little too much confidence for where he's at in his career right now, and I think that's cost them a little bit. I also think that Johnson hasn't been able to get as ahead as he's wanted to, and I think Jose Dioto's been, tracked a little bit easier. I think he needs to switch up his pathing a little bit, which he did last time against us, which was very unfortunate, even though we still beat them. Or no, it wasn't us. Who was I thinking of? I was thinking of somebody else. Anyways, moving on. I think if we're going to win a game this weekend, I think it's this one. And I really hope that I really, really, really hope that we find a way to beat either CLG or C9, and that we are in position to tie with FlyQuest. Because I do think that they could lose to Immortals. I definitely think they're going to lose to 100 Thieves. So that Immortals game is going to really be pivotal coming into this matchup here. Because if we can find a way to win one of those games, then we can play FlyQuest back-to-back games to try and push our way into the top 6, because we would get tiebreakers on Sundays. So
I am of the opinion right now that we are probably out at this point because I do think FlyQuest likely beat Immortals, and I don't know that we beat CLG or Cloud9. Again, I think we can. It's going to be tough. And just to break our hearts a little more, I am going to pick us to win this game against FlyQuest. I think they have fallen off. I think teams are starting to kind of figure out what they have to do. I think the focus on top lane and the winning the mid-game skirmishes have been really detrimental to FlyQuest, as they normally like to have an early lead. They haven't necessarily played the late game all that well either, so I think it's going to come down to the draft, but I really do believe, funny enough, as much as I've complained about him playing, like starting in our top lane right now, I do think Solo is going to be the decider for this team. I think that he is better than Philip, I wouldn't say substantially, but definitely better than him, and I do believe that if TSM are going to make a real run at top 6, then this is what they're going to have to do. They have to win one game. One game pretty much guarantees us playoff. It would take Golden Guardians and Immortals, who I don't think they play each other. No, they don't. It would take both of those teams to go 3-0 this weekend, and I mean, it would take them to go, I guess, 2-1. To guarantee beating us. And let's look at this here. Golden Guardians play Evil Geniuses, Team Liquid, and Dignitas. I see one win maybe in their future, so that's rough. Even Dig would have to go 3-0, but they play TL, Evil Geniuses, and then Golden Guardians. Seems pretty impossible for Dig to win 3 games, so I pretty much count them out here. Immortals play Cloud9, FlyQuest, and CLG, so the same schedule that we do. We just have to be better than Immortals this weekend. Period. One win, in my mind, gets us in. I think 2 wins gives us a chance at top 6 with an Immortals win against FlyQuest. Immortals and 100 Thieves win. So we're going to have to see. What would be really funny is if we were to win both our CLG games and our Cloud9 game and then lose to FlyQuest. That would be so sad and upsetting because at that point, we'd be a 7-win team, 7-11 win team, and we wouldn't be able to really do much with it. So, I'm happy that this team is on a better trajectory. I do believe that this team may take a game now off of somebody in the lower bracket. I do think we're starting to see some pieces making their way for our future. And all of us should be rooting really hard for Team Liquid to do really well. Because the better they do, the more likely it is that I think that they keep Santorin, especially the better that he plays. And then that gives us, I think, a very, very, very high chance to keep Spica outside of whatever team buys the slot of Dignitas. That would be the one. And we'll have to talk about this later, but I really do believe Dignitas are leaving there. I do not have any sources or anything that are telling me that. I want that to be really clear. The only thing I've been told is that there have been 2 to 3, maybe even 4 teams potentially looking to leave the LCS. There is only one team apparently of the 4 that I'm predicting. I would think it would be FlyQuest, Golden Guardians, Immortals, or Dignitas. One of those 4 teams. I'm predicting Dignitas. I have been told that one of them has a pretty high likelihood of leaving. I don't know which one. I've asked. They won't tell me. But I think whoever buys that spot, it wouldn't be a terrible move for them to start their building of a new team with Spica. So, it would be beneficial for us, for Dignitas to stay. It would be beneficial for the LCS for them to leave. We'll just have to see. Off-season talk will be coming around. I'm very excited about it. We'll just have to see what happens. So, with that, let me know in the comment section below. What's your guys' prediction for our weekend? I know you guys are going to probably want to say 3-0, Rob, come on. But what's your realistic prediction? We got a couple days left. Where do you think is going to happen with us? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment. Do one of those 2 comments that I gave you guys. One at the beginning of the episode, one at the end here. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode of this show, or Frame by Frame, or Hot Takes, or maybe any of the other shows that we might do over the off season. Also, I want to make this the number one TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. So, if you guys can keep listening, share this with your friends, family, anybody who you think likes the LCS and might have an interest in TSM, please share it. Be very much appreciated. You can find me on Twitter at TGH Robert Haynes. You can find the Game House at TGH Esports. Got a lot of news coming out. Udyr has been revealed. Excuse me, finally. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. Check out all of our content there. There's good stuff. Lots of interesting things coming. Be on the lookout for them. The new Steel Valkyrie skins are very interesting, I'll say. With that, thank you for tuning in. This show, potentially for the last time, not likely, but potentially for the last time in 2022, will be coming out every Monday and Thursday, and it's still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. I'll see you all on Monday.